Hello Neowin, and welcome back to the Super Smartphone Showdown, where I have 5 of the flagship devices from each of the 5 top Android manufacturers. And in part 4 today, we are taking a look at the performance of each of these devices. And you can see I'm about to run Smart Bench, hopefully on all of these devices simultaneously. So, if I can go through all of these. Over here, the LG Optimus 4X HD has a Tegra 3 inside, a 1.5 GHz quad core plus the ULP GeForce GPU. Here, the Samsung Galaxy S3 with its quad core 1.4 GHz Samsung Exynos 4 quad chipset with a Mali 400MP GPU using right now for the graphics test. In the middle, TI OMAP dual core processor here, running at a 1.2 GHz I believe, plus the PowerVR SGX 540 GPU. We have a One XL here with a Snapdragon S4 inside, running at 1.5 GHz as a dual core, plus an Adreno 225 GPU. You will note that the One X, the normal One X, has a Tegra 3, much like over here. And finally, the Xperia S has a 1.5 GHz dual-core Snapdragon S3 plus the Adreno 220 GPU. And it is getting right into Smart Bench, and it seems like the One X is finished, and so is the Optimus 4X HD. So, in 1 second, once all of these are finished, we will take a look at the scores and see which one has won the benchmarking test. And I can say I've done these tests before, but I won't spoil it for those people who have yet to test out these devices. Interestingly, we only have 2 quad-core devices here and 3 dual-cores, this of course being the oldest chipset in use out of all of these devices. And taking a look, it is pretty clear that the 2 old dual cores here and here have scored the least out of all of these benchmarks. We have got, for productivity, we have scored 1935 and 1721 respectively. Compared to the fastest device out of all of these, the HTC One X has actually the Optimus 4X HD is actually one with 4,641, which is more than double what this device has scored. And then it gets to the Exynos 4 quad, and the difference between these two devices is almost certainly due to the higher clock speed over here on the Tegra 3. Then over here we've scored 3,200, I believe, on the One XL, and that is because the dual core that is present inside here, the Snapdragon S4 with its crate CPUs, is actually very, very fast for a dual core. Each core in here is faster than the quad cores used over here. So core for core, you'll see this device outperforming these two. That's so with more cores, of course, you get more performance, and that's when these two come in. Also take a look at the graphics scores scored in each of these, and surprisingly the HTC One XL has one with 27,440 I believe, which is surprisingly faster than the GPU that is used inside the Galaxy S3. So we're actually going to discount the gaming index, because in some of the other tests that I've done, it has turned out that the Galaxy S3 has simply blitzed everything else that I have taken a look at in the past. Seriously, the Galaxy S3 is a mighty fast device. So mighty fast that we'll try and get up here for you Grand Theft Auto 3, one of my favorite games available on Android, just to show you just how fast this device is. Now, in terms of how this compares to other devices, you'll find that the normal sort of everyday performance is going to be very similar between this device, the Optimus 4X, and of course the One XL, because there is no lag throughout the operating system, and stuff like browsing and all that is very fast generally these days. It's very surprising that that game had crashed just then, but we'll try again. We'll also get it running over here on the HTC One XL, just so you can see the difference between the Mali 400 MP and the Adreno 225. Now, there, of course, the Tegra 3, one of the advantages of the Tegra 3 is, of course, you get the NVIDIA optimized games and all things like that available from Tegra Zone, which you don't get from any of the other devices, unfortunately. That said, though, this is the absolute fastest device I have ever used. And I mean, I've used a fair few devices with pretty much every chipset available, but this one is the fastest. It's just simply so smooth. Just so incredibly smooth. In fact, you'll never find any problems running any games on this device because it is the fastest device out of everything you've ever used. And it is really hard to play this through a viewfinder. So unfortunately, I've failed that mission. But you do get a good idea of just how fast that device is. In terms of the two dual-core devices here, which one of these is the fastest? Well, the GPU present in the Xperia S is faster than that present in the Droid Razr, but performance for performance, you'll probably get pretty much the same in everyday usage. This is clocked high at 1.5 gigahertz, but then again, very similar performance out of the two dual cores. Again, they use last generation chipsets, whereas these three are using sort of new generations. The One XL, again, if you get a 1X, you'll get the Tegra 3, which is the same as over there, which probably has the second best performance out of all the chipsets that I've used for gaming. Again, Snapdragon S4 is the best per core performance, and the GPU is much improved over the Snapdragon S3 in this device. So you will see, obviously, a lot of performance improvements, but you can see here, if you flick back in this video to when I was taking a look at the Galaxy S3, you'll see that it's a tiny bit it is a tiny bit laggier in this game. For some reason, my guy will not want to enter that car. Very, very strange. I mean, you're not going to be disappointed with the performance of this device at all, but compared to the Galaxy S3, it is just not as fast, unfortunately. So there you have it, the performance of these devices has been taken a look at in terms of the chipset. But there is still more to look at, which we will take a look at just 1 second after a jump cut. And we're back to take a look at the storage present in each of these devices as we take a look at some of the other specifications that is included. Over here you get 16 gigabytes of onboard storage plus a micro SD card slot. The same here with this Galaxy S. Of course, you can go higher depending on the price you pay, up to 64 gigabytes with this. Over here you get, device is rated at 16 gig of onboard storage plus micro SD card slot, but you only actually get 8 gig of usable space because a fair bit of that is dedicated to apps and a whole bunch of other stuff. These three devices are the only to include micro SD card slots, as these other two don't, but to compensate you have 32 gig of onboard storage in here by default. I don't believe you can go higher than that, which is a bit unfortunate, but then again you do get a lot of space. The total app storage space here is actually, you get 2.21 gig and 1.7 here, but and you also get 25 gig of usable, 25.8 gig of usable space compared to 24.5. Which of these has the fastest storage to access? Well, the HTC One X, when I used it, is blisteringly fast. I mean, it is seriously I copied stuff over in no time. Xperia S was a bit slow, so is the the Droid Razr. Galaxy S3 probably won't notice. And of course, there's a couple of other things to talk about. Out of all these devices here, the Droid Razr is the only device not to feature NFC. Of course, in near-field communication, you can just touch two devices together to share things like contacts, photos, and web pages. You can see here on the Galaxy S3, I'm loading up Neowin.net, and I can simply share this to this device by touching the two devices together. As here it says touch to beam. Simply touch that. And over here on the HTC One X, you'll see that Neowin.net is loading. So that is NFC for you. It's fairly useful. Once mobile smartphone payments get into full effect, that'll become much more useful to have NFC in your phone. A couple of other things to note is the Xperia S and LG Optimus 4X HD are both devices that do not come with an LTE option. Of course, the One XL comes with LTE here in Telstra in Australia. You can get the Droid Razr on Verizon in the States, that comes with LTE, and so does the Samsung Galaxy S3. If you get that, a 4G version of that, you get LTE, but of course you only get the Snapdragon S4, which is the same as this chipset, depending on whether you get LTE. That said, using HSPA Plus on all of these devices, I've clocked at least 7 megabits down, so there's no performance issues there. Also, all of these devices have 1 gig of RAM, so you won't notice any difference between them. And to be honest, most of these devices can play modern games quite well. Depends on the support that the developers give the device. For example, Tegra 3 games are usually very well optimized for devices such as the LG Optimus 4X HD and the HTC One X. So that again is the benefit of getting the Tegra 3. That said, the Samsung Galaxy S3 is the fastest device of them all. The GPU is much improved. It's even faster than the iPhone 4S, surprisingly. So it is very, very, very fast in here. So either way you go, you won't be disappointed unless you get either of these devices. The last generation chipsets, unfortunately, cannot catch up to the modern ones. So that concludes the performance overview with the Galaxy S3 winning this round. Good job, Samsung, for creating a very good device there performance-wise. Catch us back here tomorrow on either our YouTube channel. Subscribe to get the next video straight into your inbox. Or you can check back on Neowin.net, where we'll be covering the cameras of these devices on the next Super Smartphone Showdown. So check back for then and have a great rest of the day.